Hi everyone, Armine Bazikyan from Bazikyan Law Group. I'm a certified specialist in trusts and probate law, and today we wanted to answer the question, how long does it take to probate a loved one's estate? Now, in the past we've talked about probate and what it is and how to do it and what the results are and what the costs are, but we've never really gotten into the nitty-gritty of how long it actually takes. And I think it's important to understand how long it takes because it really is years and years of your loved one's life. So, in a nutshell, but let's go through and use a case analysis and a case example to illustrate this. Now, this is a case that our office helped with and a family that our office helped, and this is a case that we're going to go through and analyze together so that you really get a good illustration of what it looks like. In the past, we've done a case analysis for probate. We'll link it in the blog below so that you can kind of review that video as well. I think it'll be helpful because the facts in this case are exactly the same as the facts in that other case. However, the result is completely different in this probate proceeding. I will describe why and what the results, how the results varied so much, okay? So in this particular case, we will call the decedent E, and E actually passed away, leaving behind a wife and children. Same fact as the previous case. In fact, E actually also left behind a piece of property that was owned just by him. Same as that previous case we had. Now, the only difference here is that E actually ended up writing a will before his death. He actually sat there. Actually, he went in and saw some attorney service, and they gave him, somebody helped him, some legal service helped him, and they prepared a legal document called a last will and testament, and they did a great job. So whoever his previous attorney was did a fantastic job of creating this will for him. And so he put down his intentions and his desires on paper, and he signed it, and he had it witnessed, and he followed all of the formal formalities and all of the legalities of this document. So it was a valid will. And that's the real big difference between this case and the prior one that we analyzed in August of this year. So in this document, he wrote that he wants all of his estate, whatever he has in his name, to go to his wife, his surviving spouse, and no one else. So his wife is the beneficiary of 100% of everything that's in his name. And the only thing he had in his name was a house that was owned solely by him. His wife was not on title. And so the house 100% would, at the end of the day, go to his wife. But there's one thing that this attorney did not do for our poor decedent E. He only created a will. He did not create a will and a trust, which means that with just a basic will, it has to go to probate. We have to funnel it through this probate system in order for his wife to actually get legal title of the property. So even though he wrote it down, he went through the trouble of writing it and he gave it to his wife, unfortunately, in order for his wife to be on the title of that property, she has to run this case from start to finish in this court process known as probate that we've talked about in the past. So let's go through and kind of talk about what the costs are and how long it actually took. Now, for this particular family, the probate took an exceptionally long time. And the reason for that is they made one very, very huge mistake in the beginning after they decided to start the probate procedure. They went to an attorney like prep service. They went to basically a non-licensed company, like a storefront, that was advertising doing probate. And the person that they hired, or the company that they hired, did not have licensed attorneys, and they basically charged them $3,000 and promised to do the probate for them. So again, I want to stress this huge mistake they made, because what they ended up doing is hiring this person who promised to do the probate for them on the cheap, just $3,000. They ended up paying cash $3,000, and then it was crickets. They did not hear from this person. They could not reach this person. This person pretty much left them high and dry, okay? So there was nothing for them to do at that point. They kept reaching out, and the person who they hired, who claimed they would do the work, basically ran off with their money in a nutshell and left them high and dry. So when they called our office and they described this matter, they were already $3,000 in the hole, and we decided to jump in and help them because of this story, right? Because I personally was very angry that someone took advantage of this really nice family and this really nice lady who didn't know better, right? She just didn't realize that there was a difference between hiring an attorney versus not hiring an attorney. She didn't know that legally she doesn't have to pay them anything and that she has to pay for the probate at the end. So she didn't know her legal rights and she was fully taken advantage of. So we came on this case, helped them probate from start to finish, basically. At the end of the day, and we did this in 2021, 2022, so we just wrapped up this case. But I want to stress that E, the person who passed away in 2011, okay? So the family had not done anything with the property for about a decade. And now they decided to do the probate. But all of the probate costs and all of the statutory attorney's fees are based on those 2011 values, okay? And this is important because we've discussed this in the past. Probate attorney's fees are based on the value of the asset. And it's at the time of death, not what it's worth right now, okay? So in 2011, this property was worth about $350,000. And we know this because the court, remember, the court sends their own appraiser. The court will ask for an evaluation from a probate referee who works for us and the court. And the probate referee came back and said in 2011, when E passed away, it was worth $350,000. So all of this entire probate case is going to be based on that magic number of $350,000. And so we went ahead and took it a step further. We filed for distribution to help the family get what was rightfully theirs according to the will. And the mom or the surviving spouse actually ended up inheriting 100% of the property. And it was fully hers, 100% owned by her, none of the other kids, because that's what E wanted in his will. The judge literally opened up the will and followed the instructions to the T because it was a valid will. Now the cost for the family was about $10,000 in attorney's fees. And as you could tell, and we've discussed this in the past, attorney's fees are based on that valuation. The first $100,000 of value of that estate is charged at 4%. The next $100,000 is charged at 3%. And the next $800,000 is charged at 2%. So in this particular scenario, we had about $10,000 in statutory attorney's fees. And in addition to those attorney's fees, the filing court fees, we had about $917 in court costs for them. So total out the door for our office and for them, it was about $10,917. But remember, they actually ended up losing the $3,000 that they paid to the fraudulent service that they hired in the beginning. So really, this family, total cost for them was $13,917 that they were in the hole for this entire probate, okay? Now I want to stress that $13,000 number because what would be the result is the real question. Had E gone in to see an attorney and that attorney, instead of just pushing a will on to him, said, wait a minute, I will gladly prepare this will for you. However, I want you to know that it doesn't avoid probate. Your family is still going to have to go to probate. May I suggest a trust? Okay. Now, had the attorney done the proper planning with the trust and a pour-over will, the family realistically could have saved a good $5,000 in this scenario. Okay. And had they not made that mistake of going to some random document preparation service company to do their probate for them and been defrauded, they would have saved significant amounts. So I want to stress here that it is extremely costly, and as we can see from that prior example, this person thought that they were doing the right thing. They actually went out and did a will. They just didn't do their research and hired the right attorney. Maybe that attorney didn't specialize in estate planning and didn't know and just sold them a document called a will. So do your due diligence. Definitely interview the attorneys that you're interested in hiring and make sure that they're giving you proper advice. For this family, the cost on them for this particular property was $13,000 total at the end of the day. Plus, it took about 3 years from the day that they decided to start the probate process to the day that we ended it. And we came on halfway through. So it took us about a year and 9 months to help them. That's how long we were involved in the case. So really, they wasted the first half of the probate just following up with this document prep service, trying to figure out where are they, Did they file anything? What did you do with my money? So it's a real shame. So please be very careful. Unfortunately, there are a ton of document preparation service companies that advertise, and they hope and they prey on that little old lady whose husband passed away, not knowing the law and coming in through their door, and them taking $3,000 cash and running off with it, okay? So please do your research. For the younger generation, please help your elderly parents and grandparents navigate the process, because it's extremely, as we can tell with this example, even if you're an intelligent person, like in this case, you can still be taken advantage of by these doc preparation service companies. So, in a nutshell, this is what the length of time for this probate was. Much longer than the standard. I would say if there are no contested issues or petitions filed in a probate, a really solid, straightforward probate with no outside issues coming in can take anywhere from a year and a few months to 2 years from start to finish, which for our office is extremely speedy compared to the probate community. And as you can see, if you make the wrong move or go a different path, it could end up costing 2 to 3 years of your life just sitting there waiting. And for this particular family, it was very important because they wanted to do some remodeling on the property and get it up to date. And so they weren't allowed to do any of that because she wasn't the record owner until she took title, and they were able to refinance and get some cash out in order to work on this property. So we were very happy and we're very lucky to represent people like this, families that really need our services and that can definitely benefit. And I want to stress that G's wife did one extra thing. G, actually they're both E and G. So the surviving spouse did one very important step at the end of this. She, by the end of it, obviously trusted our office enough and trusted me enough with her confidences that when we finished the probate, we actually put together an estate plan for her, and we were able to organize her estate documents so that her 2 daughters who helped her through this process would not have to go through it again when mom passed away. So be very cautious, do your homework when you're hiring an attorney, and make sure that you're selecting the right one. As always, we welcome you to call our office for a free consultation, and we'd be happy to sit down with you and evaluate your case, your probate matter, and let you know where you stand. Have a good one. Bye-bye.